Imagine with me, my friend, you're in a world split into two. One half lives in luxury, enjoying all the rights and comforts. The other half, completely marginalized, and have no rights. Stuck at the bottom since the moment they're born. And guess what? You're stuck in the marginalized side. Not just that, you're also being punished for something you haven't done. So what will you do? Will you just accept this dark reality? Or will you try to change the darkness surrounding you? That's exactly what we're going to find out in today's story with our protagonist Rudo. But before we begin, let's make this video explode with likes, shares, and subscriptions. Let's go. We see a little girl playing with a doll, but it suddenly rips apart. Her mom says, "Well, that's ruined, and we just bought it too. How about we throw this in the trash and get you a new one?" The girl agrees, and a little while later, we see the mom tossing the trash bag, which lands in a garbage truck heading to the dump. At that very moment, we see our hero Rudo running through the dump, thinking to himself, of course, it's obvious. Anything that's broken becomes trash. It gets thrown away. It's no longer valuable. But what actually happens to trash once it's thrown away? And since getting rid of garbage is second nature now, humans treat anything they don't want as trash, even if that thing is a person just like them. These thoughts swirl in Rudo's mind as he searches through the garbage, looking for anything he can fix or use. While he's deep in search, suddenly one of the guards opens a gate, sounds the alarm, and points a gun at him. "So you're the vandal stealing trash and making the city look bad. Today's your unlucky day." Moments later, more guards arrive. Rudo quickly throws some trash at them to distract them and makes a run for it, but they chase after him and start shooting. He manages to dodge the bullets and runs at full speed toward the exit, but gets shot in the arm. He hides, waiting for the guards to leave, then slips through the sewers into the city. The next day, two women are gossiping about last night's garbage thief. One says with disgust, "Who would steal trash? That's just gross." Her friend replies, "Probably one of those savages from the slums. Who else could it be?" Then the friend gives her a look and nods toward a man from the slums walking nearby. As soon as he turns his face, they stare at him with disgust. "What are people like that doing in our city?" We shift from them, jumping over the city wall, showing the huge contrast. A city that's shiny and white, and slums where there's literally nothing cleaned out. We find Rudo fixing up the junk he gathered the day before, while locals give him dirty looks, whispering he's gonna get the cops on us. All because he can't stop digging through trash. He is interrupted by his friend Chiwa, who says, "You went out garbage picking again. Don't you know the city folks are obsessed with that stuff? If they catch you, you're done for." Rudo answers, "They throw away perfectly good stuff that just needs a little fixing. It feels wrong to let it go to waste. Besides, I sell this stuff to survive." Just then, three guys show up and one of them holds his nose and says, "What's that disgusting smell?" He turns to Chiwa, "What are you doing standing here? Aren't you afraid you'll end up smelling like garbage too?" He points to Rudo's gloves. If he touches someone with those, they'll probably catch a disease. Then one of them kicks the lantern near Rudo and sneers, "No one wants to buy your junk." Chiwa claps back, "Everything you just said is pointless. We're all in the same boat and no one's better than anyone else." They disagree, "Sure, we're all in the slums, and yeah, the rich see us all as savages. But Rudo is different. He's the son of a psycho killer." They explain, "The slums were originally built to hold our ancestors who were criminals. That's why we have to work hard to look good in front of the upper class." But then Rudo's father came and messed everything up. Killed a bunch of people. And this is his kid. He's no different. They stop when they see Rudo's icy stare, one that sends chills down their spines. So they leave, muttering, "Like father, like son." After they leave, Chiwa reassures Rudo, "I believe in you. I know that you're a good person and not a criminal like your father." Rudo's face is flushing red, clearly crushing on her. But he's surprised when she says she likes the doll sitting among his things. He quietly says, "It's not for sale, but if you like it." Just then, Chiwa's mom interrupts and pulls her away. "Didn't I tell you to stop talking to that boy?" Rudo goes home upset, only to find Ricto, the man who adopted him, waiting. As soon as Rudo walks in, Ricto teases him, "Still can't talk to Chiwa properly. Just tell her how you feel already." Then he asks, "So, what happened yesterday in the city? I told you no need to take risks while I'm around." Rudo replies, "It's not really risky. I've never been caught before." Recto fires back then, "What was yesterday?" Even though they're not blood relatives, Recto reminds him, "We're family. You should live like a kid, not try to repay some imaginary debt." Rudo explains that Recto took him in when he was young, and what he's doing is just a small way to help. Then Recto notices Rudo's wound and insists on cleaning it. Afterward, he warns him, "If you go to the dump again, it won't just be a scratch next time." Rudo looks at his hand and says, "This pain is nothing compared to what my father left me." In the slums, crimes are punished by death, being thrown into the abyss. That's what happened to your real father, so you need to be careful, even if we live in this filthy world. Ruto remembers his injured hand from childhood, and the unbearable pain, until Recto gave him gloves that eased it. Since then, Ruto's felt he owes him everything. Recto snaps him out of his thoughts. Take this doll to Chiwa tomorrow. Tell her you love her before someone else steals her away. Ruto blushes, yells at him to stop interfering, but outside, someone in a mask is watching their house. The next morning, Ruto tries to follow Recto's advice and smile, but gives up, muttering, "Smiling really doesn't suit me." He goes for a walk, holding the doll, and thinks about the abyss, massive dump for both trash and criminals. He stops, watching a public execution about to happen. What does happen to people who fall into the abyss? Suddenly, Chiwa shows up. "You rarely come here." He hides the doll behind his back in panic as she continues. "The view from here is awful." He replies, "Not much different from the rest of the slums." She explains, "These slums were built on the edge of the abyss. It's like the rich are telling us they could throw us away whenever they want. It's scary, especially because everyone here ends up witnessing these executions, whether they want to or not." She ends by saying, "I don't want to see you thrown into the abyss, so stop risking your life digging through trash." When Ruto replies that Recto told him the same thing, she says, "That's because Recto loves you too." Her cheeks turn bright red when Ruto realizes what she meant. His face turns red too. He gives her the doll. "It might not be perfect, but I think it suits you." She happily accepts it. "I'll take good care of it." Excited, Ruto runs home to tell Recto, but he crashes into a group of officers, confused by their presence. When he finally arrives, he opens the door, only to freeze. Recto lies on the ground. A masked figure plunges a knife into his stomach. Ruto charges at the killer, but ends up on the floor, bleeding, paralyzed. The masked man picks up a book and escapes. Recto calls out to Ruto with his final breaths, "Run, and change this filthy world." Ruto is in complete shock. The police arrive, tase him, and arrest him. They demand a confession. Ruto replies, "Confess to what? I didn't do anything. Help Recto." The officer says, "Nothing you say matters. No one will believe you. You're covered in your victim's blood." Ruto keeps shouting that he's innocent, but they don't listen. They just beat him. Soon, the news spreads. Ruto is being tried for Recto's murder. Later, we see Ruto tied up in court, surrounded by a crowd. The judge tells him, "You committed a crime worse than stealing garbage, which is murder. Even if your victim was just a savage, we won't let a killer pollute our land. You'll be executed." The crowd chants in unison, "Throw the garbage into the abyss." Ruto is in denial, unable to grasp how his life flipped in moments. Desperately, he searches the crowd for anyone who believes him. Then he spots Chiwa and pleads with her to help, but she responds, "I trusted you, but you turned out just like your father." She throws down the doll and walks away as the crowd cheers for his execution. Ruto stares at them with pure hatred. "You're the real trash, you spineless human scum. I swear, I'll kill every last one of you." But he stops mid-sentence when he sees the masked killer smirking at him in the crowd. Before he can say a word, he's thrown into the abyss, falling. Consumed by rage, Ruto swears vengeance on everyone. He opens his eyes, shocked he's still alive, but is immediately hit by the worst stench he's ever smelled. Looking around, he finds himself in a sea of garbage. Suddenly, a giant monster rises from the depths. That's when he realizes he's in hell. We see Ruto running in fear from a monstrous beast that appeared the moment he fell into the abyss. As the creature howls, more monsters emerge from the sea of garbage and begin chasing him. Surrounded from all sides, Ruto falls to the ground in shock, unable to believe that even trash is now after him. Screaming at the top of his lungs, he curses the city dwellers who threw him into this living hell. Suddenly, the ground collapses beneath him, and he crashes into the trash, bleeding from his head and struggling to breathe the toxic air. Realizing there's no safe place in this massive garbage dump, he coughs up blood and stumbles around, trying to survive. As the monsters close in, he wonders, is this how my suffering ends? But just as he surrenders to his fate, he remembers Recto's eyes, his final moments. A strange power surges through Ruto, pushing him to grab a nearby pipe. He grips it and says, "My role isn't over yet. I won't give up. I must avenge Recto and destroy the ones who threw me into the abyss. But before that, he must find Recto's killer and make him pay." Just then, a monster attacks, but Ruto blocks it with ease. On the other side in the trash heap, a mysterious figure senses the disturbance and heads toward Ruto. Back to the fight. Ruto, despite his wounds, continues attacking the beast with anything he can find. When the monster is flung away, he hurls a street sign at it, but it resurfaces and lunges like a shark. Ruto dodges, but exhaustion takes its toll. The strange energy intensifies as more monsters charge at him. He miraculously survives the double assault, defeating both with a metal slab, collapsed and gasping for air. He barely has time to rest before the giant beast returns for a deadly strike, summoning the last of his strength. Ruto sprints as the monster slams the ground, sending a shockwave that throws him through the air. Moments later, Ruto opens his eyes weak, dizzy, and finds a masked man standing over him. Who is this guy? He wonders. Before he can react, The masked man kicks him and straps a gas mask onto his face. As Rudo starts breathing properly again, he demands answers. Who are you? What were those monsters? What is this place? The masked man signals him to be quiet, but Rudo yells louder, desperate for answers. I was thrown down here with no explanation. Tell me what's going on. Shut your damn mouth. You idiot. I told you to be quiet. We're on the surface, and everything around us is the trash your people dumped from above. Thanks to your big mouth, the monsters found us, you moron. He points at the incoming beasts, explaining they're trash monsters, immune to ordinary weapons and drawn to sound. That's why he insisted on silence. But now it's too late. Suddenly, his umbrella transforms, a monster lunges, and he obliterates it, instantly turning it to ash, as Rudo watches in disbelief. The masked man then blitzes through the remaining pack like lightning, taking them all out effortlessly. Only the massive beast remains. It spits some toxic fluid at the man, but he blocks it with the umbrella, taking advantage of the monster's roar. The man leaps into the air and slams the now enlarged umbrella into the beast, reducing it to ashes. He returns to Rudo, removes his mask, saying, "Name's Engine, I'm a cleaner." But the moment he inhales the foul air, he regrets unmasking. "You're the reason all this happened," he mutters before Rudo blacks out. Rudo sinks into a memory he'd come home beaten. Recto asked what happened. Rudo replied that the kids hit him because he said objects have feelings. Recto wipes his face and says, "It's an old legend, but I believe it. Everything we use serves a purpose, that's proof of life." Rudo points to things around them. "Even these, why not?" Recto smiles. Back in the present, Rudo wakes up tied and being dragged by Engine. "Let me go, man." He shouts, "You're being rude to the guy who just saved your life." Engine responds. Rudo argues that rescuers don't drag people like luggage. He demands to be released because he has to go back. Engine stops and points upward. "You see that orb? That's your city. No way to get there, it's constantly moving." Rudo, furious, insists on returning. "You know something? Tell me how to get back. Tell me everything about this place. The monsters. That power." He even threatens to scream loudly if he doesn't get answers. Engine sighs, tosses him a helmet, and says, "All right, if you're that fired up, get ready to learn." A while later, Engine dumps Rudo at a gas station and disappears. Suddenly, a few people appear and are shocked by Rudo's clothes. "You're from the above, aren't you?" they ask. When Rudo says he was thrown down, they remove their masks in disbelief. It's their first time seeing someone from the city alive. They apologize, but then, Rudo finds himself tied up in a box. "They're not letting this treasure escape," they say, laughing. Turns out, corpses from the above are worth a fortune and Rudo is a rare find. One of them grins and says, "Wanna know why people are dying to get their hands on you? Because we hate you trash-dumping city scum. You poisoned our air, brought us monsters. Now, it's our turn." He jams food in Rudo's mouth, laughing wildly. Suddenly, he screams in agony as Rudo bit his fingers off. "I can eat your trash just fine." Rudo growls. "Up there, down here it's the same. Rich versus poor. Surface versus abyss." A strange energy envelops him. He breaks his chains in a burst of fury. "I'm done being treated like garbage." Engine, watching from afar, smirks. His gut was right about Rudo. Rudo recalls Recto's words about giving life to objects. So, when he touches a chain, it transforms. Everyone around is stunned. He's a grantor, Engine declares. The gang panics. They know grantors are dangerous with weapons. One of them knocks the chain away, hoping it's over. But Rudo grabs a tire and fuses it with power, and takes them down. Even Engine is shocked. Rudo can empower multiple objects at once. Rudo approaches the last thug, but Engine grabs his arm. "Calm down. That's enough." Rudo snaps back to himself. The tire crumbles into ash. What just happened? He gasps. He remembers feeling a strange energy from his gloves when he thought of Recto, wiping the blood from his nose. He hears Engine's voice. "It's normal to feel drained after using that kind of power." Then Engine apologizes. "I had to test you. I'll explain everything. But in return, I want you to join the cleaners." Rudo stares in shock. "Can I say no?" We see Engine sitting and communicating with someone via a bracelet on his hand. That person says, "It's not like you to call me. What do you want?" Engine responds that he found a genius kid by coincidence in the Forbidden Zone, and he has a mysterious power. He wants to train him and ends the call. At the same time, Rudo is sleeping on a bed, being treated and bandaged by a doctor. He looks at Engine and reminds him he still hasn't agreed to join the cleaners. Engine replies that he has no other options. Rudo, annoyed, says all he wants is to go back to the surface for his revenge. Suddenly, the doctor yells at Rudo, "You're lucky you're still alive. What kind of stupidity makes you wander the Forbidden Zone? If you'd stayed there a bit longer, you'd have died from the toxic air, and then you got kidnapped." You should kiss the hands of the cleaner who saved you. And Jin smugly looks at Rudo and says, no need to thank me. Rudo snaps back at the doctor. Mind your own business, man. The doctor screams louder and reveals she's a woman, not a man. They leave the clinic, and Rudo thanks Injin for paying for his treatment. He reminds him again that he wants a way to get back to the surface, and sees no need to join the cleaners. Injin tells him he's already seen how people here treat surface dwellers. He can ask around for a way back, but sooner or later, people will discover who he really is, and when that happens, his fate will be sealed. Plus, this world isn't kind enough to hand out information for free. Then he tells him, shut up and follow me. Moments later, they're in a restaurant. Rudo is devouring a burger while looking around. He thinks to himself that he thought the abyss was just a giant trash heap, but was surprised to find buildings and people living somewhat normal lives. When Injin asks him what's his name is, he replies, Rudo. Injin says, nice name. Allow me to give you a proper summary of the situation here. Look, in addition to trash piling up down here, emotions and thoughts gather as well. These emotions and thoughts turn into energy and cause strange phenomena. One of them is the stray monsters you faced. As you've seen, they attack any human who comes close. Usually, those monsters are found in the garbage zones and the forbidden area, but that doesn't mean they can't reach the city. Rudo says, if that's the case, then you should just reinforce the city's defenses. Injin responds, humans can't stay caged forever by nature. He explains that, as he mentioned before, normal weapons don't work on monsters, because their essence is a concept, but with his gloves, he can defeat them. Rudo is confused what's so special about his gloves. Injin continues, if someone uses a tool for years and takes good care of it, eventually, a concept resides in that tool. These are called Genki. Genki are the only weapons capable of defeating the monsters because concepts can only be fought with another concepts, and the catch is that only a few people can use Genki, and those people are called granders. In short, the cleaners are an organization to eliminate the stray monsters, and that's why they need granders. Rudo says, alright, so if I join you, you'll tell me how to get to the surface. And Jin, indifferent, says, I don't know how to get to the surface. Rudo is shocked. Then why were you acting so confident before? And Jin replies, I don't know, but my boss knows everything. He definitely knows a way back. Rudo mutters, so I have to meet your boss first. What a pain. Then Injin asks, who gave you those gloves? Rudo pauses before replying sadly, they were my dad's. The only keepsake I have left of him. Injin says, they may look old and worn, but they're still in great shape. He asks him to take care of them cause they're good gloves with a soul. At that moment, Rudo remembers people mocking him for believing in that kind of thing and feels sad. Injin gets up when his phone rings. Rudo tells him, I know it's late to say this, but thank you for helping me. He adds that he's ready to join the cleaners temporarily if it'll help him get to the surface. Injin throws him a pouch of coins and tells him to keep it. Rudo is touched by Injin's kindness and asks, are you sure? Injin says, he's sure. It's just the money I got from selling your old clothies and I use some for your treatment and food. Rudo stands frozen for a few seconds. Then, as the words sink in, he explodes. If I catch you, I'll tear you apart, you scumbag. Injin calmly replies, you can't wear surface clothes because it would blow your cover. Just wait here until I come back. Rudo sits annoyed. All he can think of is leaving the cleaners as soon as he achieves his goal. Yeah, there's no bliss in this poor guy's life. At that moment, a small cat that had been watching Rudo suddenly jumps, grabs the money pouch, and runs away. Rudo chases after her, yelling, my money, you little thief. While running, he spots a stick and snatches it from its owner, then catches the cat, panting from the chase. Suddenly, the stick's owner appears, fuming with rage, give me my stuff, you trash-born freak. Rudo, confused, says, what stuff? This is my hard-earned money. What kind of place is this? Full of thieves. The man replies, I'm talking about my stick. Rudo says, it's just a stick. The man grabs it back and hugs it tightly. Rudo finds this weird and notices the man's clothes have the same emblem as Injin's. Then the guy says, don't think you can steal my Genki without consequences. He shifts the stick to combat mode and says, looks like I need to teach you a lesson right from the start. Out of nowhere, the stick grazes Rudo's face by millimeters, and the ground shakes from the power of the attack. The man says, since you stole my treasure, I'm sure you're ready for your punishment, Mr. Genius Rudo. Rudo snaps out of shock, and you were a cleaner. The man introduces himself as Zenkai and says Injin asked him to train Rudo. He didn't expect to have to teach him basic human behavior like not stealing. Rudo interrupts him, saying he wasn't stealing, he was chasing a damn cat that stole his money. Zenka ignores him, saying, looks like your parents forgot to raise you properly. Rage fills Rudo cause Zenka doesn't know anything about him or Ricto, who raised him, but he remembers Ricto's advice. If you want people to understand you, calm down and explain things gently. Otherwise, they'll all hate you. He calms down and explains he didn't mean to steal and apologizes. Zanka relaxes too and apologizes for overreacting. He's just really attached to his stick. Rudo is shocked that something so simple has such meaning. Zanka smiles, welcomes Rudo, and asks about his Genki and its abilities. Rudo replies it's the gloves, but he doesn't really know their abilities. Zanka admires the gloves, and Rudo thinks to himself. His attitude changed 180 degrees. Maybe I should try smiling too. He remembers all his failed attempts at smiling and Rudo's advice. Meanwhile, Zanka tells Rudo that all the cleaners mock him for using a mere stick as his Genki. He asks why Rudo joined the cleaners. Rudo, smiling like a horror movie villain, says he joined until he reaches his goal. Zanka explodes, what the hell is that on your face? You freak, you mocking me. Rudo, innocent, says he's not mocking anyone, he's trying his best to smile. Zanka says, I don't know what you're doing, but fix your face before I smack you. Rudo thinks maybe he should close his mouth while smiling, but that just makes it worse. Zanka is convinced he's being mocked and shouts, no normal person smiles like that. I'm gonna ruin your day. Rudo argues, I've been trying to smile for an hour to lighten the mood, and you're not appreciating my effort. Zanka says, don't get ahead of yourself just because Engine thinks you're a genius. You're just a useless kid with some dumb goal you'll abandon once you achieve it. Now Rudo snaps, who the hell do you think you are to mock my dream? I'm gonna wreck you. Before he can finish, Zanka draws his weapon and says, from the moment I saw you, I knew we wouldn't get along. Rudo grabs the first piece of junk near him and tells Zanka to get ready. Zanka stops in shock. Wait, that's your Genki, right? Wait, don't tell me your gloves let you turn anything you touch into a Genki. That's illegal. No wonder Engine thinks you're a genius, but even a genius like you won't stand a chance against a normal guy like me. Right as he finishes his sentence, his weapon drops from the sky toward Rudo, who barely dodges. He freezes in place for a few seconds thinking, when did he throw that? Zanka launches a fierce attack and smacks him in the face, sending him flying. Before Rudo can hit the ground, Zanka is already waiting with a flurry of strikes. He says, looks like your only strength is your Genki. You're gonna lose to a simple stick. Rudo finally snaps and launches a strong attack, but Zanka easily dodges and whacks him on the head. You're trash. A weakling with a power beyond your skill. But he notices something on his cheek, wipes it, and sniffs. He's horrified to realize that Rudo's weapon came straight from the sewer. Disgusted and afraid, he says, what the hell is that thing in your hand? This ain't a public toilet. Rudo charges at him with full force after completely losing it, shouting, try something else. I won't leave a single inch of your face untouched. At that moment, Zanka dodges Rudo's attacks in fear, yelling, stay away from me, man. Rudo still has no idea what he's holding in his hand or why Zanka's so scared of it, but none of that matters as long as the weapon works. Zanka isn't even able to face him. Rudo keeps chasing Zanka, who's running ahead of him, and with every hit, Zanka's clothes get dirtier and dirtier than the middle of their Tom and Jerry style chase. Engine arrives at the scene in a car and says, what's this? You guys became besties already. After a bit, they all get in the car and explain what happened to Engine, who bursts out laughing. He says, this is the first time I've ever heard of someone using shit as a weapon. Meanwhile, Zanka has buried his face in his hands, unable to lift his head after the humiliation he just suffered. Next to him, Rudo sits in shock, not believing he was using a toilet plunger as a weapon. Engine stays quiet for a moment, then says that Zanka is actually a respected person around here, but he can't hold himself back and adds, still, that new fighting style is kinda innovative. Zanka begs him to stop joking about it. Engine then looks at Rudo and says, your first meeting was weird, but this is the person who's going to be your mentor, and I guarantee you, he's the best sprinter among the cleaners when it comes to using Genki. You're definitely going to learn a lot from him. Zanka is touched by Engine's words. This is the first time he's ever praised him. Clearly, Engine holds some weight around here. Then Engine turns to the person sitting at the back of the car and says, when did you get here? Ryu stands up from her seat, looks at Rudo with curiosity, and says, so you're Rudo. Rudo freezes in shock, and before he can respond, he finds Ryu playing with his hair and asking, did you dye your hair, or is it naturally like this? He stutters back, saying it's his natural hair color. He zones out, not believing there's actually a girl playing with his hair right now. Then Engine interrupts, saying, alright, cut it out. We're heading home right now. So what's going to happen? What's waiting for them at HQ? Will Rudo be able to survive Anubis? And is there really a way to reach the surface? All that and more, we'll find out in the upcoming episodes. And finally, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you get all our updates as soon as they drop. Peace out.